Let's be honest, content planning can be a total nightmare, right? Slow, chaotic, and half the time it feels completely disconnected from what the business actually needs. Well, today, we're going to tear that old model down. We're diving into a system that transforms your content planning from a month-long headache into a sharp, powerful 3-day sprint. Let's get into it.
Oh yeah, you know this feeling. You walk out of that Q1 planning meeting with this beautiful color-coded content calendar. You feel so on top of things. But then, reality hits. A few weeks in, the sales team needs something totally different. Your creative team is burning out, and that perfect plan, it's suddenly feeling more like a cage. It's a classic sign that the system itself is broken.
And here's the hard truth. That old-school, long-term content plan isn't just a little inefficient anymore. In a world that moves this fast, with markets and AI changing by the second, that annual plan has become a strategic liability. It's an anchor, literally weighing your marketing down and holding you back.
Does any of this sound familiar? You're struggling to get high-quality stuff out the door consistently. Trying to measure ROI feels like a wild goose chase. Your stakeholders are starting to ask skeptical questions, and behind the scenes, it's just a mess, right? Handoffs are chaotic, nobody's quite sure who owns what, and you're trying to cram a blog post into a TikTok format. It just doesn't work.
Now, this isn't just about feeling stressed or missing a few deadlines. This whole broken process has a real, tangible cost. We're talking about dollars and cents. And when you start talking about money, that's when the conversation with leadership gets really interesting.
So get this. Research shows that inefficient processes can cost a company somewhere between 20 and 30% of its annual revenue. Just let that sink in for a second. That is a massive amount of money just vanishing into thin air, all because of a clunky workflow.
And if you're in B2B, it gets even crazier. The average overspend on inefficient content production is nearly $1 billion a year. The scale of this waste is just mind-boggling.
So that $1 billion? It's not just wasted cash, it's fuel for a vicious cycle. See, when the process is chaos, it's really hard to create thoughtful, customer-focused content. So what do teams do? They default to what's easy, talking about themselves and their products. That company-centric stuff fails to resonate, performance tanks, stakeholders lose faith, and poof, your budget shrinks. And the cycle just keeps going.
So, how in the world do we break this cycle? We need a completely new playbook. The answer is to ditch that old, rigid, waterfall way of thinking and embrace something new, an agile approach. We're shifting from those long, brittle plans to short, adaptive sprints.
This slide really lays it all out. It's a fundamental shift in mindset. On the left, you've got the old way. Long, inflexible plans based on a ton of assumptions. You're betting the whole farm on a few big bang campaigns. But on the right, you've got the agile way. Short, flexible sprints that are driven by actual data and built around lots of small, smart experiments. It's about adapting on the fly, not just blindly executing a year-old plan.
Okay, so this new agile system needs a strong foundation. And that foundation starts with what we call content pillars. Just think of these as the 3 to 5 absolute core themes your brand is an expert in. These are the big topics you want to completely own in your space.
And if the pillars are the what, the topic cluster model is the how. This is the architecture you use to prove your expertise to search engines. You create one massive authoritative pillar page on a big topic. Then you surround it with a whole bunch of smaller cluster articles on related subtopics. And here's the key. They all link back to that main pillar, signaling to Google that you are the definitive source.
Now, this is one of the biggest wins of going agile. You're completely de-risking your content strategy. Instead of making a few huge, expensive bets that might totally flop, you're making dozens of small, calculated bets. This lets you test ideas, see what the data says, and only double down when you know you've found a winner. It turns content from a casino gamble into a smart investment portfolio.
Okay, so that's the big idea. Now, let's get practical. I'm going to walk you through the exact 3-day agenda you can steal to plan your entire next quarter of content.
Here it is, the whole framework. It's so simple. Day 1 is all about strategy and intelligence. Day 2 is where we get creative with ideation and outlining. And Day 3 is about making it real with prioritization and operations. Let's break down each day.
So, Day 1. This is crucial. We are not coming up with content ideas yet. Not a single one. Day 1 is about building the strategic guardrails. We're defining our business goals, locking in those content pillars, and taking a quick peek at what the competition is up to. The whole goal is to end the day with a simple one-page brief that will guide everything else we do. Now, day 2 is where the real magic happens. We bring in AI as a force multiplier. You're going to brainstorm those topic clusters for each pillar, use AI for super fast keyword research, and then you're going to generate over 50 solid SEO-informed outlines. What used to take weeks, you're now doing in a few hours. You end the day with this huge backlog of amazing raw material. This quote absolutely nails the shift in the strategist's role. With AI handling the grunt work, you're not down in the trenches laying one brick at a time anymore. Your job elevates. You become the architect, looking at the entire blueprint, making the big strategic calls that shape the whole building. On the final day, day 3, we take that giant backlog and turn it into a concrete action plan. We'll use a scoring framework, like RICE, which stands for Reach, Impact, Confidence, and Effort, to objectively rank all those ideas. No more gut feelings or pet projects winning out. Then, you just plug the winners into your calendar and map out the workflow so everyone knows exactly what they need to do and when. Let's look at how RICE actually works. You multiply Reach, Impact, and Confidence, and then you divide the whole thing by effort. So check out that ultimate guide. It has a huge score, right? But wait, the effort is a 4. That's really high. Well, it still wins because its potential reach and impact are so massive, they completely outweigh the effort. This isn't about opinions, it's math. It forces you to focus on what will actually move the needle. A great plan is awesome, but it's totally useless if it doesn't deliver results. So the final piece of this puzzle is connecting the dots from your plan to performance, and ultimately to proving the ROI of your sprint.
To really prove your value, you need to track 2 types of metrics. First are your leading indicators, things like traffic and keyword rankings. These are the early signals that tell you, hey, we're on the right path. But the ultimate goal, the thing that gets you more budget, is tracking the lagging indicators, leads, conversions, and sales pipeline. This is how you connect your content directly to revenue.
And this, right here, is the most powerful part of the entire system. It creates a continuous improvement loop. The data you get from one sprint isn't just a report card that gets filed away. No, it becomes the primary strategic input for your next sprint. Your content strategy literally gets smarter, more efficient, and more profitable every single quarter. Look, that old static annual content calendar, it's a relic. It's a dinosaur. The choice is pretty simple. You can spend another month debating a plan that's going to be outdated in a few weeks, or you can spend the next 3 days building a system that drives real, measurable results. It's time to stop planning. It's time to start sprinting.